when it comes to the topic of innovation now, I think we talked a little bit about embodied carbon, just new technology, innovation in the company. Let's unpack some of that, because I know Victaulic's got some good insights and interest in here.
Yeah, Nick made a point earlier that a lot of the focus on sustainability from an embodied carbon perspective has been on the structural side of things. So, high volumes of concrete, high volumes of structural steel. So I think there's more visibility now, and it's incoming on the mechanical side of things, even though the carbon steel pipe that's going into heating and cooling systems doesn't match that of the structural element. There's more and more development there all the time. Our product is made 95% of recycled materials. So so you've got the primary side of it, how it's manufactured. From the installation side, obviously no smoke and fume from weld. You're just hammering this stuff together with an impact gun. And then from the deconstructability side, you take it apart, you melt it down or reuse it. But at end of life, we're talking typically 50 years for M&E. And then the gaskets just come off and they get mulched up and turned into kids' playgrounds, right? So sort of the full landscape of things from a manufacturing to end of life. We've got a pretty good sustainability card to play.
So in terms of the end of life stuff, I mean, for a company that's as old as your company is, you've seen some deconstruction. I mean, to even think now, you hear the word innovation, and then you hear deconstruction, and then you hear a proprietary product. It's just, to me, I think, what, you guys are taking this stuff apart? It just seems antithetical to the whole thesis of what we're talking about.
Well, we say life of the system for our solution we have, and I would say there's probably decommissioned projects over the years that haven't taken that approach, but with focus, you can, right? So I don't know that we've done it in the past, but the nice thing is the way we make our product and have made our product lends itself directly to that. So we don't have to change a lot to accomplish that. So it'd still be on the responsibility of the individuals at the end of life of these facilities to do so. But as it becomes more and more important to do it, we'd like to think that they will. And if we need to take a proactive role to ensure it happens, then that'll be kind of the next step, right?
So how much of that is the pitch in terms of the sales? Is that the end of life of our product now? Like anything new going into buildings now? Are they like, we're hoping this thing's going to be around for,
Well, it's
trying to build this thing and get on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still new, so
how
I don't
much
know.
of a value proposition
And the
is that?
deconstructability piece is brand new. Like I'm talking like 2023, right?
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
We're following the structural piece on the front end of it in terms of what's going into the product, how is it getting here, and what's the carbon footprint.
Right.
And then the deconstruction it's a new conversation, but I think it's coming strong.
Right.
Because we're knocking buildings down, and then all this rubble goes to a construction landfill.
This one has been, and I've brought this up a couple times, and like this particular stuff has been really interesting to me. And it's not that, maybe in the past, I don't know, 5-10 years, even longer, I never put much thought into, is this thing going to be able to be recycled? Even at home, it's like, cans and food, whatever, just don't put much thought into it. But maybe since it's hitting something that I'm in day to day and something that I love in construction, when the conversation around deconstruction starts happening, it's like my eyes are kind of, or at least my attention has been perked by the whole thing. Because now I'm having conversations with my buddies who are a lot of guys are in trades. Had my friend over yesterday, runs a roofing siding business. And he's like, I listened to the podcast with Adam from Unbuilders. And he's like, this whole deconstruction thing. And then I'm not trying to, like, he's a smart kid. He's a really smart guy. But he's like, is this just going to be super costly, though, to take these things apart? But if you're looking so far ahead into deconstructability, and again, there's pre-project planning, and not to blow this into something it's not, but it's like end-of-life project planning.
Seriously,
but if components are being, in 2023, put together in a way that's like, okay, well, there's been a lifespan on building from an engineering standpoint. Well, there was a 100-year building, and now is it 50? Oh, it's because we want to keep deconstructing and rebuilding, whatever. But if the components are coming together in a way that's just not going to be like, again, like they were put together so long ago, smashed, now they're, meticulously, not maybe so, but in some ways taken apart and repurposed. Yeah, initially, until there's more and more innovation, then it gets smoother, faster, more efficient, cost effective. But eventually, yeah, I mean, just makes sense to me. Some of this stuff just seems so removed when it's like, oh, save a straw.
Well, I see
but it's
where
like, oh, deconstruct a building. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, I see where you're going with that because like there's, you know, I live in a high-rise complex, and when we do recycling, it's like, okay, that's got to go in that bin. That's got to go in that bin. And then when they come and pick it up, they all stick it in one thing. I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I do this?
False advertisement.
Why'd you put me through the brain damage of having to have different bags and all this kind of stuff? So that's the question, I think, you know, is this, I mean, the unbuilders is very specific. He knows what he's going to get.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a kind of shopping list for projects. But, you know, so just the embodied carbon, can you just describe how relative that is to your product volume? I mean, is that a small impact? Is it a big impact? Like, just give us a sort of per square millimeter impact.
Just give us a broad view with specific metrics, please.
I think you know what I'm getting at. Yeah. Like, is this a fugazi a little bit? I mean, how much is going in there?
Probably 5% of the structural piece, which is why you have a gap. Right.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
But when you start counting calories, I always look at it as calories on a building, right?
Yeah, good point.
And
that's a really good point.
80% of the buildings, you know, we did such a good job of squeezing the orange for the last 20 years to make buildings more efficient during their operation. And we've gotten pretty close, but that's still only 20% of its carbon footprint is the functionality of the building throughout its life cycle or whatever the percentages is. 80% during construction.
Yeah.
We're a small piece, but as we continue down this path, and that's why we're trying to get ahead of it, because it's not here yet. But if we wait, then we're going to be behind the 8 ball and so our portion of the industry. Right. And so just some awareness and opportunity now is good, because when we do start counting those calories, every one of them is going to matter.
Right.
And if there's an advantage to doing so, and also being ahead of the curve, Corey mentioned distance. That's, you know, one of the big things we've, partially because of the C word, partially because we're going to do it anyway. Now we're seeing more benefit here is, you know, locational, geographical manufacturing. Like, not only are we we're increasing our North American footprint, not only for availability locally and all the challenges with the supply chain crisis from overseas, but we're seeing the fact that vehicles and boats and ships and et cetera, our product needs to travel less distance to get to the job sites to keep its calorie count down. And that's just all going to continue to blend into that. So is it there yet? Is it a small percentage? Sure. But it's going to become, you know, infinitesimally important as we get along this path. And I think it's good to have a source that's better than, right?
Do you guys have like a calorie count kind of impact document of some sort that you provide customers with?
We're working on that right now.
That's cool. That'd be a great thing to have.
In fact, we just
all the way from like, you know, like the shipping side of things and how much you're saving by manufacturing stuff in the U.S.
Exactly.
How much of your product is manufactured all in the U.S.? Is it all of it, or just some stuff, or?
So we're a global company, so I don't know, what do you think, 60 to 70% of our stuff now, maybe a little bit more, is for North America, is right here in North America, Corey?
I was going to say 70%.
70?
Yeah, okay. we have 4 foundries in the U.S., plus...
Opened a new one.
Yeah, and then all of our tools are manufactured globally in Toronto, so we ship those everywhere from there currently, and then we've got a gasket facility in the U.S. as well.
Just a question for you guys. Do you think that on the construction side... obviously with consumer products, that's a whole nother ball game, but how much do you think could be all American made or Canadian made, North America made, you know, pulling away from China, stuff like that? What do you guys think about that?
It's so down in the States, right, especially in Texas, there's a Buy America, Buy American.
Yeah.
And those are very loophole-driven strategies, but there's an importance behind it, or domestic only. We have the ability to satisfy the majority of what we need to. We're required for that. The other thing, you mentioned the C word, there's just some unique parts, fasteners and things that we do source that have sometimes had to come from overseas or wherever.
Yeah.
But we found with the supply chain challenges, you know, good things come to those who, you know, wait too long to figure it out.
Sure.
We've grown our output for some of those items, and now we have a more competitive solution for it, more resources for it, and more avenues to capture those things and not be so reliant on one area or one outlet. And so I think we're even more flexible with our additional manufacturing and other folks locally to help, that I think we can grow that number to accommodate where we need to and continue to push towards a North American based only offering.
Other than specialties like controls and things, right? I mean, I
like chip based stuff, you mean?
Truly,
it is, yeah. Realistically, yeah. Automation. I think we could get 90% is not unachievable, especially if you group in Mexico with it, because we do a lot of large diameter in Mexico.
How much of your how much of your stuff has chip based telematics kind of stuff going on there, or like reporting, Like you have control boxes that are computer controlled, et cetera?
We get into backnet integration a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The majority of our stuff, though, outside of things like that are integrated, and we're getting more and more of that as we collaborate, partner, and even merge and capture some companies. Like we just partnered with Burmat in 2015. I think that now our North American pressure reducing valve solution, and they have a myriad of options, right? And so we're looking to grow in that way. But a lot of that automated stuff is happening as part of our manufacturing process. And then it's,
gotcha.
You plug it in. It's a construction product that goes in the field, right? And so we don't have a lot of integration other than some of those unique products that do that.
So some of the manufacturing you have, how much have you guys seen since you've been at the company of robotics changes in terms of manufacturing your products? Has that changed a lot on the sort of shop floor?
Yeah, when I started, we had a facility called Cast Pack, which we actually didn't own. We leased the space, and so when the housings show up from one facility, the gaskets show up from another. That's where they were assembled, and it was all by hand.
Okay.
And now I was through there a couple of years ago. I want to say that we've got about 9.
It's got a new one in since you've been there.
9 robotic trains of assembly and production in that same facility, and we own it now.
That's cool.
So it's really cool. Because that's one of our things we offer customers to go see, because it's neat to see a foundry if you've never seen one, number one, and the home base of where the origins of our company. And it's good to go, drink the orange Kool-Aid and learn a little bit. It's fun. But on the foundry side, it's still very manual. We got guys in there. There's a great poster. 4 of the gentlemen that are working there, their combined tenure is 134 years. We just had our Victaulic, which is our annual, announcement of things, and there's 26 people that had 40 years plus of tenure with Victaulic, most in the foundry.
You say Victaulic?
The Victaulic.
The Victaulic.
Oh,
yeah,
Victaulic.
sorry. You guys say a boot. It's about for us in the U.S., but the Victaulic.
I don't think I've ever said a boot before.
I don't think I've
never
heard it since I've been here either.
No.
But so that's cool on the foundry side. It's very manual. But in the assembly and the manufacturing, it's growing for that. Like boxes is a manual process for us, and we're looking to invest. It's not a small investment into automating our box manufacturing for our delivery. And so it's we're looking at it every year, and it's a big part of our future.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Nick, how do you say roof?
Roof.
Oh, what?
Not roof.
Okay, so this is... Okay, we're from very different corners of North
had to
America
learn
and
it.
whatever.
Yeah,
We could all say
It was
things.
rough when I was growing up.
Was it rough?
People would bark back at me, so I had to stop doing that. What about CREEK?
Creek.
Creek?
Okay, good. We said crick growing up too. That
Crick?
was also
What's the deal with crick?
We just undereducated.
What the frick? What's with crick?
Up the creek? Yeah.
Up the crick with no frick.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's good.